Commander Velthar stood on the bridge of his stealth ship, watching the blue planet grow larger on the screen. Earth looked so peaceful from space. White clouds moved slowly across green and brown land. The oceans sparkled under the yellow sun. It looked just like the 17 other worlds his people had conquered. "Begin scanning," Velthar ordered his crew. His voice carried the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. The Vorthak Empire had been expanding across the galaxy for 300 years. Every species they found was weak and primitive. This would be no different. Scout leader Crixon worked at his station, sending out invisible beams to study the planet below. "Sir, I'm picking up some unusual readings," he said. His voice sounded worried, but Velthar ignored it. Crixon always worried too much. "What kind of readings?" Velthar asked, not really caring about the answer. "Large metal structures near the water, and something that looks like flying machines, but they're very big. Much bigger than anything we've seen from primitive species." Velthar walked over to look at Crixon's screen. He saw what looked like floating metal islands on the ocean. Each one was longer than his entire ship. Strange flying objects moved around them in organized patterns. "Probably just fishing boats," Velthar said. "These primitives always make things bigger than they need to be. Remember the Zelthans? They built huge stone temples but still fought with sharp sticks." On Earth, Captain Lee Do-yun stood on the deck of the USS Incheon. The aircraft carrier was conducting routine training exercises with other ships in the Pacific Fleet. Fighter jets took off and landed on the deck every few minutes. The sound of their engines echoed across the water. "Sir, we're getting some strange readings on our sensors," reported his communications officer. "There's something up there, but it doesn't match any known aircraft." Lee Do-yun frowned. He had been in the Navy for 20 years and knew when something was wrong. "Are you sure it's not one of ours?" "Positive, sir. The signature is completely unknown. It's like something is watching us, but we can barely detect it." At Osan Air Base, Colonel Park Min-ho was overseeing flight training when his radar operator called him over. "Colonel, we have multiple unidentified contacts in the upper atmosphere. They're not moving like any aircraft I've ever seen." Park Min-ho studied the radar screen. 3 objects hung in space perfectly still. No human aircraft could do that. "Alert the command center," he ordered, "and get me Dr. Kim Ji-soo on the phone." Dr. Kim Ji-soo worked at the Korean Institute for Defense Analysis. She studied military technology from around the world. When Park Min-ho called her about the strange contacts, she immediately drove to the airbase. "Show me the data," she said as soon as she arrived. Park Min-ho led her to the radar room. 3 objects, stationary at about 50 kilometers altitude. They've been there for 6 hours. Kim Ji-soo looked at the screen and felt her heart race. This was what they had been preparing for. "Colonel, I need you to implement Protocol 7 immediately." "Protocol 7? Park Min-ho looked surprised. "Are you sure?" "Very sure. And contact Admiral Choi Seong-hwan. Tell him it's time." Back in space, Velthar was getting frustrated. His scouts were reporting things that didn't make sense. The humans had thousands of flying machines. Their ships covered entire oceans. Every piece of land seemed to have some kind of military structure on it. "Sir," Crixon said nervously, "I'm counting over 2,000 aircraft just in this one area. And look at this." He pointed to his screen, which showed long metal tubes moving underwater. "These appear to be underwater ships. I count at least 50 in this ocean alone." Velthar stared at the screen. Underwater ships? The Vorthak had never developed such technology. They had conquered 17 species without needing to go underwater. Why would these primitives build such things? "There must be an error in your equipment," Velthar said. "Scan again." Crixon ran the scan 3 more times. Each time the numbers got bigger, not smaller. "Sir, I'm also detecting what appear to be weapons, very large weapons. Some of them are pointed at space." "At space?" Velthar laughed. "Why would primitives point weapons at space? They probably don't even know other species exist." On Earth, Admiral Choi Seong-hwan received the call about Protocol 7 while reviewing fleet positions in his Seoul office. He had hoped this day would never come, but they had been preparing for it since the 1950s. "Activate all monitoring stations," he ordered his staff. "I want every satellite, every radar, every listening post focused on those contacts. And get me General Kim Tae-hyung." Within an hour, military bases across Earth were quietly going to higher alert levels. It wasn't panic. It was the smooth, practiced response of people who had trained for this scenario thousands of times. At the Pentagon, General Kim Tae-hyung, a Korean-American officer with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was already coordinating with allies around the world. "The readings are confirmed," he told the other generals. "We have 3 unknown contacts maintaining position over the Pacific. They're definitely not from Earth." In space, Velthar was beginning to feel the first stirrings of doubt. His scouts were reporting military installations on every continent. The humans seemed to have armies everywhere, not just small groups of warriors, but massive organized forces with advanced equipment. "Sir," Crixon said quietly, "I think we need to report back to the Empire. This isn't what we expected." "Nonsense," Velthar snapped. "We've conquered 17 worlds. These primitives can't be any different. Continue the scan. Find their weakness." But as the hours passed, the reports kept getting worse. The humans had weapons that could destroy cities. They had flying machines that moved faster than sound. They had ships that could stay underwater for months. And everything was organized with military precision that impressed even Velthar. Dr. Kim Jisoo sat in the command center, watching data flow in from around the world. She knew the aliens were watching them, just as they were watching the aliens. It was a careful dance, each side trying to learn about the other without revealing too much. "Dr. Kim," Colonel Park Min-ho said, "should we try to communicate with them?" Kim Jisoo shook her head. "Not yet. Let them watch. Let them see what they're dealing with. When they're ready to talk, they'll let us know." She was right. High above, Earth Commander Velthar was starting to realize that this conquest might not be as easy as the others. 3 days after the alien ships arrived, the humans began what they called Exercise Thunderstorm. It was supposed to be a routine training exercise, but Dr. Kim Jisoo had suggested they make it bigger than usual. Much bigger. Admiral Choi Seung-hwan stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching ships from 12 different nations form up in perfect lines. American carriers moved alongside Korean destroyers. Japanese submarines surfaced near Australian frigates. British and French nuclear submarines coordinated with Indian missile cruisers. "All units report ready," his communications officer announced. "Begin the exercise," Choi Seung-hwan ordered. In space, Commander Velthar watched the ocean below come alive with activity. Hundreds of ships moved in precise formations. Aircraft rose from the water like metal birds, filling the sky in organized groups. "How many ships are down there?" Velthar asked. Scout leader Crixon was frantically working at his console. "I count over 800 vessels, sir, and they're all moving together like they've done this 1,000 times before." 800? Velthar couldn't believe it. The entire Vorthak fleet had only 600 ships and they controlled half the galaxy. "Sir, that's not all. Look at this." Crixon showed him readings from the land. "Aircraft are taking off from bases all over the planet. I count over 3,000 flying machines in the air right now." Velthar stared at the numbers. 3,000 aircraft in one exercise? His people had never seen anything like it. On Earth, Captain Lee Do-yoon was coordinating the naval portion of the exercise. His carrier group was working with ships from 8 different countries, and everything was running smoothly. Too smoothly for it to be an accident. "Sir," his radar operator called out, "I'm getting stronger readings from those contacts above us. They're definitely watching." "Good," Lee Do-hyun said. "Let them watch." At Osan Air Base, Colonel Park Min-ho was launching fighters as fast as his crew could fuel them. F-35s, F-16s, and Korean KF-21s filled the sky. They were joined by aircraft from Japan, Australia, and the United States. "Colonel," his communications officer said, "Dr. Kim Jisoo wants to speak with you." Park Min-ho took the call. "Yes, Doctor?" "Colonel, I want you to activate the stealth demonstration program. Show them what our F-35s can really do." Park Minho smiled. With pleasure. He gave orders to his pilots, and within minutes, dozens of stealth fighters were performing maneuvers that should have been impossible to see. But the aliens were watching with very advanced sensors, and they could track every movement. In space, Crixon was getting more nervous by the hour. Sir, these aircraft are using stealth technology. It's almost as good as ours. Almost as good? Velthar was shocked. The Vorthak had spent centuries developing their invisibility systems. How could these primitives have similar technology? And sir, there's something else. I'm picking up communications between their military units. They're using encryption codes that I can't break. Velthar moved to look at the communications display. Signals were flowing between ships, aircraft, and ground bases in a constant stream. The humans were talking to each other faster and more efficiently than Vorthak military units. At the Korean Institute for Defense Analysis, Dr. Kim Jisoo was working with a new team member. Dr. Yoon Nari was a specialist in xenolinguistics, the study of alien languages. She had been called in as soon as the alien ships were detected. Dr. Kim? Yoon Nari said. I've been analyzing the electromagnetic patterns from the alien ships. They're definitely trying to intercept our communications. Can they understand what we're saying? I don't think so, but they're learning our signal patterns very quickly. These aren't primitive aliens. Kim Jisoo nodded. That's what I was afraid of. What's your recommendation? We should start broadcasting in multiple languages. Show them that we have many different cultures working together, and maybe start teaching them some basic words. In the Pentagon, General Kim Tae-hyung was receiving reports from around the world. Military exercises were happening on every continent. The aliens were getting a full demonstration of human military capability. General, his aide said, we're getting requests from 17 countries asking if they should join the exercise. Tell them yes, Kim Tae-hyung replied. The more the better. By the end of the week, the exercise had grown beyond anything ever attempted before. Ships from 24 nations were working together. Aircraft from 30 countries filled the skies. Ground forces from 40 nations were conducting coordinated maneuvers. Major Seo Ji-hoon of the Space Force was monitoring everything from a secret facility in Colorado. His job was to track anything that moved in space, and right now, he was very busy. Sir, his technician said, the alien ships are changing position. They're moving to get better views of our exercises. Are they coming closer? No, sir, they're staying at safe distance, but they're definitely interested in what we're doing. Seo Ji-hoon studied the tracking data. The alien ships were moving, with purpose, like they were gathering specific information. What do you think they're looking for? Our capabilities, sir. They want to know how strong we are. Then let's show them. Seo Ji-hoon activated a program that had been waiting for this moment. Satellites around Earth began broadcasting on specific frequencies. The broadcasts contained mathematical sequences, star charts, and basic scientific information. It was humanity's first attempt to communicate with an alien species. In space, Velthar received the broadcasts and felt his confidence crumble completely. The humans knew they were there. They had known all along. The exercise wasn't routine training, it was a demonstration. The humans were showing off their military power on purpose. Sir, Crixon said quietly, they're trying to communicate with us. Velthar looked at the translation systems trying to decode the human broadcasts. Mathematical concepts, star maps, even what looked like music. The humans weren't just militarily advanced, they were sophisticated enough to attempt peaceful first contact. They know we're here, Velthar said. Yes, sir. And they're not attacking us. Why not? Crixon thought about it. Maybe because they don't see us as a threat. Velthar considered this. The Vorthak Empire had conquered 17 species by finding their weaknesses and exploiting them, but humans seemed to assume that aliens might be friends instead of enemies. They were prepared for war, but they were offering peace. Continue monitoring, Velthar ordered, but don't respond to their signals yet. I need to understand these humans better before we make contact. On Earth, Dr. Yoon Nari was excited. Dr. Kim, they're receiving our broadcasts. The alien ships have changed their communication patterns. They're definitely listening. But they're not responding? Not yet. They're probably being careful, just like we are. Kim Jisoo smiled. Good. Let them take their time. The longer they watch, the more they'll understand that we're not their enemies. Unless they're not our enemies either, Yoon Nari said. That's what we're hoping to find out. 2 weeks after first contact, Commander Velthar thought he understood human military power. He was wrong. What he had seen so far was just the beginning. The revelation started when Scout leader Kriksan discovered something impossible while scanning the ocean floor. Sir, there are structures down there. Large structures. They appear to be cities. Underwater cities. Velthar joined Kriksan at his station. The deep ocean scanner showed massive installations on the seafloor. Some were clearly military bases. Others looked like manufacturing facilities. Sir, there are submarines moving between these facilities. Dozens of them. Some are larger than our battleships. Velthar studied the readings. The humans had built an entire civilization underwater. The Vorthak had never even considered such a thing. Why would anyone want to live underwater, Captain? An Soo-jin commanded the submarine fleet's newest vessel, the Orcs Docto. Her submarine was the size of a small aircraft carrier and could stay underwater for 6 months without surfacing. Right now, she was conducting exercises with 12 other submarines from 7 different countries. Captain, her sonar operator said, we're being scanned from above, much more intensively than before. Good, An Soo-jin replied. Let them get a good look. She ordered her submarine to surface near the underwater research station Alpha 7. As they rose, 5 other submarines surfaced around them in a perfect circle. The demonstration was designed to show the aliens that humans didn't just operate on the ocean's surface. In space, Kriksan was frantically updating his count. Sir, I now count over 200 submarines in just this one ocean, and they're all moving in coordination. 200? Velthar couldn't hide his shock anymore. How is that possible? Sir, that's not the worst part. I'm detecting weapons on these submarines. Very powerful weapons, some of them appear to be pointed at space. Velthar felt cold fear for the first time in his military career. Weapons pointed at space meant the humans were prepared to fight battles beyond their planet. The Vorthak had never faced an enemy that could fight in space. At the lunar base Armstrong, Commander Bang Hyun-woo was conducting his monthly inspection of the defense systems. The base had been operational for 15 years, but most people on Earth didn't know it existed. The base housed 300 military personnel and enough weapons to destroy an entire fleet. Commander, his communications officer said, we're getting orders to reveal ourselves to the alien observers. Bang Hyun-woo looked out the window at Earth, hanging like a blue marble in the black sky. It's time they knew the truth. Activate the external lights and raise the communication array. On his orders, the lunar base lit up like a small city. Massive communication dishes rose from hidden underground chambers. Weapon batteries that had been disguised as research equipment revealed their true purpose. In space, Velthar watched in horror as the moon suddenly came alive with activity. Are those military installations? Yes, sir, Kriksan replied in a shaky voice. Large ones. I count at least 5 major facilities on the moon's surface. And sir, there are ships moving between Earth and the moon. Military ships. How long have they been there? Unknown, sir. They've been hiding from our scans somehow. Field Marshal Lee Sung-min was in charge of revealing humanity's true military capabilities to the aliens. From his command center in Seoul, he coordinated with military leaders around the world and throughout the solar system. Phase 3 is now active, he announced to his staff. Show them everything. Across Earth, military installations that had been hidden for decades began revealing themselves. Underground aircraft hangars opened in mountains. Missile silos emerged from forest floors. Radar stations powered up in remote deserts. At the Martian Defense Station Olympus, Colonel Park Min-ho's brother, Major Park Jin-hyung, received the activation order. The station had been built inside the extinct volcano Olympus Mons and was invisible from space until activated. All personnel to stations, Jin-hyung announced. We're going active. The Martian station powered up its massive engines and revealed weapon systems that could protect the entire planet. Ships that had been hidden in the planet's shadow moved into visible positions. Back in Earth orbit, Velthar was having trouble breathing. "Crixon, tell me those aren't military installations on the Red Planet." I can't tell you that, sir. Because they are. Multiple installations. And there are ships there, too. Large ships. Dr. Lim Young-ho worked at the Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. His job was developing new military technologies that stayed ahead of any potential threats. Today, his job was to show the aliens what human technology could really do. "Activate the orbital defense grid," he ordered from his laboratory. High above Earth, satellites that had pretended to be weather monitors and communication relays revealed their true purpose. They were weapons platforms, positioned to defend Earth from any direction. The grid contained over 1,000 satellites, each one capable of destroying a battleship. "Sir," Crixon said, his voice barely a whisper, "they have weapons satellites everywhere. I count over 1,000. Velthar sat down heavily in his command chair. 1,000 weapon satellites. Military bases on the Moon and Mars. Underwater cities with submarine fleets. Stealth aircraft that rivaled Vorthak technology. This wasn't a primitive species. This was the most militarized civilization he had ever encountered. "How many military personnel do they have?" he asked, afraid of the answer. Crixon worked at his console for several minutes. "Sir, I estimate at least 100 million active military personnel. That's just the ones I can count." 100 million? Velthar's voice was barely audible. The entire Vorthak military had only 50 million personnel spread across dozens of worlds. Colonel Park Minho was back on Earth, watching alien reaction from his command center. "Dr. Kim Jisoo, they're definitely impressed. Their scanning patterns have changed completely." Kim Jisoo smiled. "Good. Now they understand that Earth isn't defenseless. Are you ready for the final demonstration?" "Ready when you are, Doctor." Kim Jisoo activated the last phase of the revelation. Around Earth's orbit, massive shipyards that had been hidden behind asteroid camouflage revealed themselves. The shipyards were building new spacecraft, not exploration vessels but warships designed to fight in space. In the asteroid belt, mining stations powered up their engines and revealed themselves to be mobile battle platforms. What the aliens had thought were simple mining operations were actually military outposts that could move anywhere in the solar system. "Sir," Crixon reported, "there are military installations throughout their entire star system, and they're building more ships, lots more ships." Velthar stared at the tactical display showing human military assets. Red dots covered every planet, every moon, and most of the asteroids. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. "Sir, what are your orders?" Velthar was quiet for a long time. The Vorthak Empire had conquered 17 species by being stronger and more advanced. But humans weren't weaker or less advanced. They were stronger. Much stronger. "Continue monitoring," he finally said. "But under no circumstances are we to be seen as a threat. If these humans can build all this in their own star system, imagine what they could do to ours." On Earth, Dr. Kim Jisoo was pleased with the results. The alien ships had stopped their aggressive scanning patterns and were now maintaining a respectful distance. The message had been received clearly. Earth was not an easy target. "Phase 4 is complete," she reported to Field Marshal Lee Sungmin. "The aliens now understand our defensive capabilities." "Good. Now we wait and see if they want to be friends or enemies. Given what they've seen, I think they'll choose friendship." She was right. High above Earth, Commander Velthar was already composing his report to the Vorthak Empire. This would not be a conquest. This would be a negotiation. Commander Velthar had made a terrible mistake. He had tried to count human military assets. What started as a simple intelligence-gathering mission had become a nightmare of numbers that made no sense. "Crixon," Velthar said, his voice tired, after days of counting, "tell me again how many aircraft the humans have." Scout leader Crixon looked at his notes with disbelief. "Sir, I've counted over 40,000 military aircraft. That's just the ones I can see. There are probably more hidden in underground hangars. 40,000, Velthar repeated. The entire Vorthak fleet had 8,000 ships. The humans had 5 times that many aircraft on just one planet. Sir, should I continue counting their ground vehicles? Do I want to know? Probably not, sir. I stopped counting tanks at 50,000. Their ground forces appear to number in the millions. General Hwang Jae-won was in charge of South Korea's Strategic Weapons Division. His job today was to give the aliens a very clear message about the cost of attacking Earth. He stood in a bunker, deep underground, surrounded by monitors showing missile silos around the world. Begin the demonstration, he ordered. Across the planet, missile silos opened their doors. Not all of them. That would have been too threatening. Just enough to make a point. In the United States, Russia, China, France, Britain, India, Pakistan, and North Korea, nuclear missiles raised their heads toward the sky like metal flowers opening to the sun. In space, Crixon's scanner started beeping frantically. Sir, they're revealing more weapons, very large weapons, and sir, these readings indicate nuclear technology. How many nuclear weapons? Crixon worked at his console for several minutes. Sir, I count over 15,000 nuclear warheads, and those are just the ones they're showing us. Velthar felt sick. 15,000 nuclear weapons? The Vorthak had only recently developed nuclear technology and had built exactly 12 nuclear weapons for their entire empire. These humans had more than 1,000 times that number. President Kang Min-ji sat in the Blue House in Seoul, watching the aliens' reaction through satellite feeds. She had authorized the nuclear demonstration after consulting with world leaders. The decision had been unanimous. Show the aliens that Earth could defend itself, but also show them that humans preferred peace. Madam President, her aide said, the alien ships have moved to a much higher orbit. They appear to be retreating. Good. That means they understand the message. Now activate the Friendship Protocol. The Friendship Protocol was humanity's way of showing that despite their massive military, they preferred peaceful solutions. Around the world, military bases began broadcasting music, art, and scientific information toward the alien ships. The ideal message was clear. We are strong, but we would rather be friends. Dr. Kim Ji-soo was coordinating the cultural broadcasts from her facility in Seoul. Begin transmission of the Friendship Package, she ordered her team. The broadcasts included music from every human culture, mathematical proofs, pictures of Earth's beauty, and information about human achievements in science and art. The aliens were getting a complete picture of humanity, militarily powerful but culturally rich. Ambassador Song In-ha had been chosen to lead humanity's diplomatic efforts if the aliens decided to communicate. She spoke 7 languages and had spent her career negotiating between different cultures. Today, she was preparing for the most important negotiation in human history. Ambassador, her assistant said, the aliens are responding to our cultural broadcasts. They're analyzing everything we send. Good. What's their response pattern? Cautious, but interested. They're not jamming our signals or trying to block us. That suggests they want to communicate but aren't sure how. In space, Velthar was indeed trying to figure out how to respond. The humans had shown him 3 things: overwhelming military, power, advanced technology, and a desire for peaceful contact. It was a combination the Vorthak had never encountered. Sir, Crixon said, I've been analyzing their broadcasts. These humans have hundreds of different cultures all working together. Look at this music. It's from dozens of different regions, but they're sharing it as one species. Velthar listened to the human music. It was strange, but beautiful. Some pieces were gentle and peaceful. Others were powerful and dramatic. All of it showed creativity and emotion that impressed him. And sir, look at these mathematical proofs. They've solved equations that our scientists are still working on. These aren't primitive people. Professor Baek Sun-woo was a military historian at Seoul National University. His specialty was studying how different military forces throughout history had achieved victory through superior organization, rather than just superior numbers. Today he was helping to analyze alien military doctrine. The aliens' reaction patterns suggest they're used to fighting weaker enemies. he explained to the military leadership. They scan for weaknesses, then exploit them. But we haven't shown them any weaknesses. What do you think they'll do? Asked General Kim Tae-hyung via video link from Washington. They'll probably try to negotiate. Their species has survived long enough to build an interstellar empire, which means they're smart enough to avoid fights they can't win. Fleet Admiral Oh Kyung-ho commanded humanity's space-based forces from a secret facility in orbit around Earth. His ships were hidden throughout the solar system, ready to defend against any threat. Today he was preparing to reveal the final surprise. Admiral, his communications officer said, "We're getting the signal to reveal the deep space fleet. About time. All ships decloak and form up in defensive positions. Throughout the solar system, human warships that had been invisible suddenly appeared. They had been hiding using advanced stealth technology, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. Now there were visible human ships near every planet and major asteroid. Crixon's scanner nearly exploded with new contacts. "Sir, there are ships everywhere. How did we miss them?" "How many ships?" Velthar asked, though he was afraid to hear the answer. "I count. Over 3,000 ships, sir. And they're all armed. These humans have a space navy that's larger than our entire fleet." Velthar realized that everything he thought he knew about this species was wrong. They weren't primitives waiting to be conquered. They were a military superpower that had been hiding their true strength. The Vorthak Empire had stumbled into the territory of someone much stronger than themselves. Secretary Min Chae-young worked for the Korean Defense Ministry. Her job was to coordinate information between different agencies and make sure everyone understood the big picture. Today, the big picture was becoming very clear. "The aliens have stopped all aggressive scanning," she reported to the emergency cabinet meeting. "Their ships have moved to what appears to be a safe distance. All indicators suggest they now understand our capabilities." "What's our next move?" asked the defense minister. "We wait. The ball is in their court now. They can choose to communicate or leave, but they won't attack. They've seen enough to know that would be suicide." In space, Velthar was reaching the same conclusion. He had come to Earth expecting to find a weak species that could be easily conquered. Instead, he had found the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. The humans had more ships, more weapons, and more advanced technology than the Vorthak Empire. But the most frightening thing wasn't their military power. It was their organization. Every human military unit worked together perfectly. Every weapon system was coordinated. Every base was supplied and maintained. The humans had created a military machine that ran like a perfect clock. "Crixon," Velthar said finally, "prepare a message for the Empire. Tell them we've found something unprecedented." "What should I tell them about conquest plans, sir?" "Tell them there won't be any. These humans aren't enemies to be conquered. They're potential allies to be courted very, very carefully." As Velthar composed his report, he realized that the galaxy was about to change forever. Humanity had just announced itself as a major power, and everyone would have to adjust their thinking accordingly. Commander Velthar stood before the communications array, preparing to make the most difficult decision of his military career. For 3 centuries, the Vorthak Empire had expanded by conquering weaker species. Today, he would recommend that they ask for friendship instead. "Sir," Scout Leader Crixon said quietly, "the Empire is requesting an immediate status report. They want to know when we can begin the invasion." Velthar laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Tell them there won't be an invasion. Tell them we need to send diplomats instead of soldiers." "Sir?" "Crixon, look at these numbers one more time. Really look at them." Crixon reviewed his data files. 100 million active military personnel, 15,000 nuclear weapons, 40,000 aircraft, 3,000 spaceships, military bases on multiple planets, underwater cities, orbital defense platforms. "And that's just what they've shown us," Velthar added. "These humans are the most militarized species in the galaxy. They've turned their entire solar system into a fortress." Captain Lee Do-hyun was now commanding the UES Harmony, humanity's first deep space patrol vessel. The ship was designed for peaceful exploration, but it carried enough weapons to destroy a small fleet. Today, he had orders to make first direct contact with the alien scouts. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're within communication range of the alien ships. They're maintaining position but not responding to our signals. Keep trying. Use the standard first contact protocols. Mathematical sequences, universal constants, peaceful imagery." "Yes, sir." "Sir, should we approach closer?" Lee Do-hyun considered this. The aliens had been watching Earth for weeks. They had seen humanity's military power. Now it was time to show them humanity's peaceful intentions. "Yes, but slowly. We don't want to seem threatening." In space, Crixon detected the approaching human ship. "Sir, one of their vessels is moving toward us. It's transmitting mathematical concepts and what appears to be peaceful symbols." Velthar studied the approaching ship. It was smaller than his scout vessels but looked more advanced. The design was sleek and efficient, with obvious weapon ports that were currently closed. "Are they threatening us?" "No, sir. Their approach is slow and non-aggressive. They appear to want to communicate." "Open a channel. It's time we talk to these humans." The first words exchanged between humans and aliens were simple mathematical concepts. Captain Lee Do-hyun transmitted the first 10 prime numbers. "Commander," Velthar responded with the Fibonacci sequence. Within hours, they had established basic communication. Dr. Yoon Nari worked frantically to decode the alien language. She was aboard the UES Harmony as humanity's xenolinguistics expert. "Captain, I'm starting to understand their grammar structure. They use a base 12 mathematical system, which explains some of their communication patterns. Can you translate their intentions? They seem cautious, but peaceful. They're asking about our military capabilities, but in a way that suggests respect rather than aggression." On the alien ship, Velthar was having a similar conversation with his own language experts. "They're asking about our peaceful intentions," his translator reported. "They seem willing to establish diplomatic relations." "Good. Tell them we wish to discuss mutual cooperation rather than conquest." The breakthrough came when Captain Lee Do-hyun made an unexpected offer. Through carefully constructed mathematical messages, he invited the alien commander to visit Earth as a diplomatic guest. "Sir," Crixon said excitedly, "they're inviting us to visit their planet, as guests, not prisoners." Velthar was amazed. After showing him overwhelming military power, the humans were offering hospitality. "Accept the invitation, but just a small shuttle. We don't want to seem threatening." Commander Shin Yoonji led the special operations team responsible for protecting alien visitors. When she learned that one of the alien scouts was coming to Earth, she immediately began preparing the most secure diplomatic facility on the planet. "The alien shuttle will land at Area 51, she briefed her team. "Full diplomatic protection protocols. These beings are to be treated as honored guests, not prisoners." "Ma'am, what if this is a trick?" "It's not. They've seen our capabilities. If they wanted to fight, they would have left already. The fact that they're coming down here means they want to be friends." Scout leader Crixon volunteered to be the first Vorthak to visit Earth. He took a small shuttle and descended through Earth's atmosphere, escorted by 6 human fighter jets that stayed at a respectful distance. As he landed, Crixon was struck by how organized everything was. The human military base was perfectly maintained. Soldiers stood at attention in precise formations. Every vehicle was clean and properly positioned. Even their diplomatic preparation showed military efficiency. Captain Yu Dongwon had been chosen to lead humanity's first interstellar diplomatic mission. He met Crixon at the landing site, accompanied by Dr. Yoon Nari and Ambassador Song Inha. "Welcome to Earth," Song Inha said through the translation device Dr. Yoon Nari had quickly assembled. Crixon was surprised by the warmth of the greeting. "Thank you for your hospitality. I come seeking understanding between our species." "That's exactly what we want too," Song Inha replied. Over the next 3 days, Crixon toured Earth's military facilities, but instead of seeing weapons and soldiers, he was shown the human side of the military. He visited hospitals where military doctors treated civilians. He saw engineering corps building bridges and schools. He watched military logistics teams, delivering food to disaster areas. Your military does more than fight wars, Kriksan observed. Fighting is the last thing we want to do, Captain Yu Dongwon explained. Our military exists to protect and help people. War is only when we have no other choice. This was a concept the Vorthak had never considered. Their military existed to conquer and control. The human military seemed designed to protect and serve. Fleet Admiral Oh Kyung-ho gave Kriksan a tour of the space-based facilities. We built all this because we knew that someday someone would come from the stars. We hoped they would be friends, but we prepared in case they were enemies. And now that we're here, now we hope we can learn from each other. The galaxy is large enough for all of us. Secretary Min Chae-young coordinated the diplomatic protocols from Seoul. She watched the meetings between human and alien representatives with growing optimism. Both sides seemed genuinely interested in peaceful cooperation, she reported to President Kang Min-ji. What are they offering? Technology exchange, trade agreements, cultural sharing. The alien representative seems particularly interested in our organizational methods and cooperative systems. Back in space, Commander Velthar received regular reports from Kriksan. Each report confirmed what he already knew. Humans were too powerful to conquer and too valuable to ignore. Sir, Kriksan transmitted, these humans have something we've never seen before. They've created a civilization based on cooperation instead of domination. Their military strength comes from unity, not conquest. What do you recommend? I recommend that I stay here as our first ambassador to Earth. These humans can teach us things we never knew we needed to learn. Velthar made his decision. Granted, you are now Ambassador Kriksan, the first Vorthak representative to Earth, and, sir, what should I tell the Empire about conquest plans? Tell them the age of conquest is over. The age of cooperation is beginning. Dr. Kim Jisoo watched the first human-alien diplomatic meeting with satisfaction. Everything had gone exactly as planned. The aliens had seen humanity's strength and chosen friendship over conflict. Dr. Kim, Colonel Park Min-ho said, "The alien commander is requesting permission to return to his people. He wants to recommend full diplomatic relations." Excellent. Make sure he understands that Earth will welcome peaceful visitors any time. As Commander Velthar prepared to leave Earth's solar system, he took one last look at the blue planet. In just a few weeks, his understanding of the galaxy had changed completely. Humans weren't just another species to be conquered. They were the future. Kriksan, he transmitted to his former scout leader, take care of yourself down there. You're starting something that will change the galaxy forever. I understand, sir, and sir, thank you for giving me this opportunity. As Velthar's ship jumped to hyperspace, heading back to the Vorthak Empire with news of humanity's existence, Ambassador Kriksan was already working on the first interstellar trade agreement in galactic history. The age of human isolation was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun.